Lying beneath the soil. I'll be back, but I'm coming as oil. Sure. So Michelle was like, "Oh, thank you, Trump, for listening to me."
Thank you, Trump, for listening to me.
This is from our Comey hearing.
This is like one of the last videos that we did. I know we haven't done videos in like practically 10 years, it feels like, right?
Right.
This is, okay.
This is one of our last videos where Michelle literally told Donald Trump
yes.
to get rid of James Comey, and he listened to her.
Yes,
so.
he did.
If he says Huma is guilty, then he has to say that Hillary is guilty. And
there's no way he's going to do that.
And there's a bunch of other people involved.
This is exactly what came to my mind as soon as I read
A whole
this.
bunch of people to prison.
Trump watches Resistance Chicks.
You know,
all because of me.
History bigger than
Which would be great and fantastic, and I have a feeling that if Donald Trump were to fire James Comey, as he should, and put in a bulldog that will get the job done, that's what we would see happen. But for some reason, he's allowed to stay.
he wants to live. That's all. You know.
I'm just saying, Trump, do something.
And I did. And I told him to do something, and he did it, people. He did it. He fired Comey, and my life is complete. Okay, for today.
For today. All right, so this is actually a statement from the press secretary. Today, Donald J. Trump informed FBI Director James Comey that he had been terminated and removed from office. President Trump acted based on the clear recommendations of both the Deputy Attorney General Rod Rosenstein and Attorney General Jeff Sessions.
Go Sessions, we love him.
The FBI is one of our nation's most cherished and respected institutions, and today will mark a new beginning for our crown jewel of law enforcement. Okay, so immediately what hit me was everybody on the left is all upset right now. But when he came out with the Clinton emails, everybody was like, fire him, fire him, fire him. And now he's firing him. He's like, what are you doing? You fired him. Oh my gosh.
Right.
It's a round and round and round we go, right? Okay.
This is one of those things, guys, where Trump is doing the right thing and we are behind him in this. There is no percentage to which the hype, no.
So John Podesta, didn't you know you were supposed to wait till Saturday night to massacre people investigating you? There's a little tweet here.
I have to tell you, when we watched this investigation, but the hearing, right? And we even said it to you guys. We feel like this is just for show. And I, in all honesty, I still believe that it was just for show. I just don't think that they quite anticipated Comey's blunt honesty, kind of biting him in the hiney at the end with his whole Huma Abedin thing. Like, why? You know, we did kind of investigate, and we found that she wasn't guilty because she didn't know what she was doing was wrong.
Exactly. Yeah.
There was no intent.
I wouldn't say that was honesty at all.
Okay, but you know what I mean. It's like, I don't think that he realized, or anybody that set that up realized that the things that were going, let me rephrase, the things that were going to fly out of his mouth were going to get him fired.
Well, and he actually misspoke. The FBI had to amend the record. He said that Huma Abedin forwarded them to Anthony Weiner to print off, and the FBI said no, she didn't do that. That it was more like the cloud, and it just kind of went to his computer. So let's read this. The Office of Attorney General Donald J. Trump says. This is from Jeff Sessions to Mr. Trump. As Attorney General, I am committed to a high level of discipline and integrity and the rule of law to the Department of Justice, an institution that I deeply respect. Based on my evaluation and for the reasons expressed by the Deputy Attorney General in the attached memorandum, I have concluded that a fresh start is needed at the leadership of the FBI. It is essential that this Department of Justice clearly reaffirm its commitment to the long-standing principles that ensure the integrity and the fairness of federal investigation and prosecutions. The director of the FBI must be someone who follows faithfully the rules and principles of the Department of Justice and who sets the right example for our law enforcement officials and others in the department. Therefore, I must recommend that you remove Director James Comey and identify an experienced and qualified individual to lead the great men and women.
Or as Michelle said in the clip that we just showed, a watchdog. See, maybe it was Sessions that saw my video.
Oh, I'm sure.
Definitely. Definitely that's what it was.
All right.
Because he pretty much said what I said.
You your head. Julian Assange tweets out your video, and now everyone's listening to you.
Everybody's watching Resistance Chicks. Alex Jones claims that Trump watches him.
May 9th, today, 2017. This is the letter from Everybody gets to read it. You know, letters used to be private. Nah, this is everybody gets to read the letter from Donald J. Trump to Director Comey. I have received the attached letters from the Attorney General and Deputy Attorney General of the United States recommending you be fired for dismissal as the director of the Federal Bureau of Investigation, which you didn't obviously do. I mean, we gave him a pass after Clinton. Are you serious right now? I have accepted their recommendation, and you are hereby terminated,
Fired, aka fired.
and removed from office. See, this is
Removed.
one thing that Trump is good at.
Yes, he's good at firing people.
Fired.
Jared Kushner,
Effective
you're
immediately.
next.
While I greatly appreciate you informing me on 3 separate occasions that I am not under investigation. You see how this got twisted around? That's really funny.
This is very Trump-ease, isn't it?
I nevertheless concur with the judgment of the Department of Justice that you are not able to effectively lead the Bureau. It is essential that we find new leadership for the FBI that restores public trust and confidence in its vital law enforcement mission. Nobody has any... After the Clinton fiasco, nobody had any...
Finish the letter.
Okay.
Finish the letter.
I wish you best luck in your future endeavors.
Which will be nothing. Nothing. You have no future. You will be nothing. James Comey, you have no future. I'm so happy right now in your nothingness.
Okay, so we're gonna go straight to Fox News here. This is
Okay.
breaking news.
Breaking news that no one saw coming today.
No one saw coming.
Has fired FBI Director James Comey. This comes just moments after the Bureau issued a correction to a statement Comey made to Congress last week about the Hillary Clinton email investigation, and it is the latest chapter in what has been an extremely rocky tenure for the nation's top law enforcement official. The news breaking just 15 minutes ago, coming out from the White House. That's where we head now. Chief White House correspondent John Roberts starts us off tonight. And John, this is obviously earth-shattering.
And to say that nobody saw it coming would be an understate. Clearly, the Attorney General, the Deputy Attorney General, and the President knew about this.
I
The
saw it
FBI
coming!
Director learned about it just a short time ago. And Brett, this goes back to last year, which is really the most surprising part of this. Writing a memorandum for the Attorney General, the Deputy Attorney General, Rod Rosenstein, said, as you and I have discussed, this is talking about Jeff Sessions, I cannot defend the Director, James Comey's handling of the conclusion of the investigation of Secretary Clinton's emails, and I do not understand his refusal to accept the nearly universal judgment that he was mistaken in what he did. Almost everyone agrees that the director made serious mistakes. Now, to the substance of what happened here, the Deputy Attorney General Rod Rosenstein, again, writing about Comey's handling last year during the election campaign of the Clinton email issue, said the director was wrong to usurp the Attorney General's authority on July 5th, 2016, and announce his conclusion that the case should be closed without prosecution. It is not the function of the director to make such an announcement. At most, the director should have said the FBI had completed its investigation and presented its findings to federal prosecutors. The director now defends his decision, and he said this last week, by asserting that he believed Attorney General Loretta Lynch had a conflict. But the FBI director is never empowered to supplant federal prosecutors and assume command of the Justice Department. Compounding the error, the director ignored another long-standing principle: we do not hold press conferences to release derogatory information about the subject of a declined criminal investigation. So, Brett, he was fired not for anything that happened recently, but for something that happened in the height of the election campaign last year, when he came out and he gave that press conference talking at length, as people will remember.
This is one piece of it, but the other pieces are his testimony with Huma Abedin shows everybody that he can't be trusted to prosecute anybody for anything if they are a rich, wealthy Democrat. Globalist.
Remember vividly about the Clinton emails and what she did and didn't do when she was Secretary of State and what she should have done. And then the fact that he said that I don't think that she should be prosecuted. Yeah. And then he doubled down on that just before the election took place and then talked about it again last week. So really extraordinary that the circumstances.
to as the reason behind it. Remember, Hillary Clinton, Secretary Clinton, just recently came out and said that Jim Comey letters and what he said was one of the reasons she lost the election. Now we're saying that he's been fired for basically those decisions. I want to read a letter from President Trump released just a moment. You are hereby terminated, Donald J. Trump. The letter
We read
comes
that
with
to you
the
if you're now
attachment
joining us.
from the Attorney
Watch it
General
back
and
later.
the Deputy Attorney General as well.
And what the Attorney General wrote to the FBI director is, quote, I have concluded.
And we read that too. So I'm going to go over here to this next video and how it's a really odd thing that has happened. I think it's good, but it's definitely odd.
I think there's
As
way
it
more
develops,
here
I don't
than
think we have the
we're
full
excited,
context
but
yet.
there's more here.
It is so amazing that I think we're only at the very beginning of the story. Here's what's
That's
so
what
odd
you can see.
about
He
it.
just said that.
This is about, according to the letter by the Deputy Attorney General, this is about something that occurred on July the 5th. So we start out with something that is highly implausible. If that was so offensive to the Trump administration, what you would have done is in the transition, you would have spoken with Comey and said, we're going to let you go. That's when a president could
Exactly.
very easily make a decision to have a change. That's not unprecedented. But to fire him summarily with no warning in the middle of May because of something that happened in July is almost inexplicable. Second, the reason ostensibly is, as you read in that letter, for doing something that you're not supposed to do, to usurp the Attorney General. But second, to release all that information which was damaging to Hillary Clinton, Donald Trump's opponent. Do we really believe that Donald Trump, after all these months, decided suddenly he had to fire this guy because he damaged Hillary back in July?
Exactly.
Another implausible conjecture. We are left to believe that it might have something to do with the egregious mistake that Comey made in the testimony this week.
Although it's not mentioned in any of these letters.
Mentioned anyway, but if you're saying the ostensible reasons are implausible,
Then you're looking to hang it on something.
on something that we have not heard about, and we
I
end up
agree.
with that very strange clause that you read in the letter from Trump to Comey. While I greatly appreciate you informing me on 3 separate
So
occasions
weird.
that I'm not under investigation, who has been talking about FBI investigations of Trump? This sort of explodes on us without any preparation, without any background. I suspect where this is going to go is to that clause.
I agree. I could not agree more. That's why when Leah read that, my mind went, huh? And in all honesty, I kind of, at first I thought maybe he's just covering his tracks so in case somebody comes back and says, you know, well, he's just doing this because Comey was going to investigate him or he was afraid that Comey was, so he's just like making it. But it was written in such Trump-ese, I can't imagine that anybody but Trump wrote that letter.
Oh, no. Nobody but Trump wrote that letter.
You know what I mean? A lot of times most of the time, presidents have people do stuff like that for them.
Yeah.
Not
So,
Trump.
honestly, guys, we don't have anything else to say. Trump fires James Comey. We have our own theories. We don't know. Maybe he was keeping it in his back pocket for, you know what I'm saying?
But I don't know. I mean, this guy, and he's kind of hard to listen to because he's very slow, so intelligent. He hit the nail on the head. If he was going to fire James Comey for what happened in July,
Right.
he could have just done it easily, smoothly, swiftly, right as he was coming into office.
But what I'm saying is maybe he was keeping it in his back pocket like an ace in the pocket. If something
Ace in the
went
hole.
weird, I'll just fire him.
Right.
Because you knew he was going to at some point, do something.
But
You
he
could
could have
just
done
tell.
it, though. That's what I'm saying, though. Why save it?
But why save it? Because sometimes you gotta put some cards in the deck.
Liberal tears.
Sometimes you just have to put some cards in the deck, and when the
You have
time is
poor
right,
face.
then
Crybaby
you bring
face.
it out, right?
Okay, yeah, he was waiting for the opportune moment, I suppose.
Yeah.
What do you guys have to say about this before we sign off? I want to read a couple of your comments.
The FBI is one of our nation's most cherished and respected institutions, and today will mark a new
I disagree with
beginning.
that statement, just FYI.
For what?
FBI, FYI. It's one of our most,
Oh.
sacred and,
Yeah.
what did it say? I didn't even pay attention, I disagreed with it.
Cherished and respected.
Cherished and respected, thank you. No.
And
mm-mm.
today will mark a new beginning for our crown jewel of law enforcement, said President Trump.
Right.
A search for a new permanent FBI director will begin immediately. Now, we didn't read the Rosenstein's letter. It's kind of long.
Don't read the whole thing.
But yeah.
Can you read it?
It's really small. The Federal Bureau of Investigation has long been regarded as our nation's premier federal investigative agency. Over the past year, however, the FBI's reputation and credibility have suffered substantial damage, and it has affected the entire Department of Justice. That is deeply troubling to many department employees and veterans, legislators, and citizens. The current FBI director is an articulate and persuasive speaker about leadership and the immutable principles of the Department of Justice. He deserves our appreciation for his public service. As you and I have discussed, however, I cannot defend the director's handling of the conclusion of the investigation of Secretary Clinton's emails, and I do not understand his refusal to accept the nearly universal judgment that he was mistaken. Almost everyone agrees that the director made serious mistakes. It is one of the few issues that unites people of diverse perspectives. We got a dog stuck in the basement.
She's stuck. I'll get her. You keep
Okay.
reading.
The
Go on live,
director
people.
was wrong to usurp the Attorney General's authority on July 5th, 2016, and announced his conclusion that the case should be closed without prosecution. It is not the function of the director to make such an announcement.
Oh, sorry, people. I kicked you. Wait,
At
we're all
most,
right.
The director should have said the FBI had completed its investigation and presented its findings to federal prosecutors. The director now defends his decision by asserting that he believed Attorney General Loretta Lynch had a conflict. See, this gets a little bit deeper. I hadn't read this yet, you guys. We just went live with a few pieces of information.
You're learning right along with us.
There is a well-established process for other officials to step in when a conflict requires the recusal of the Attorney General. On July 5th, however, the director announced his own conclusions about the nation's most sensitive criminal investigation without the authorization of duly appointed Justice Department leaders. Compounding the error, I mean, this guy is pretty upset about this. The director ignored another long-standing principle. We do not hold press conferences to release derogatory information about the subject of a declined criminal investigation. Derogatory information sometimes is disclosed in the course of criminal investigations and prosecutions, but we never release it gratuitously. The director laid out his version of the facts for the news media as if it were a closing argument.
He did.
But without a trial. It is a textbook example of what federal prosecutors and agents are not to do.
And it gets smaller.
In response to skeptical questions at a congressional hearing, the director defended his remarks by saying that his goal was to say what is true. What did we do? I'm going to bring this up just to make this a little bit bigger. Here we go. All right. What did we do? What did we find? What do we think about it? But the goal of a federal criminal investigation is not to announce our thoughts at a press conference. The goal is to determine whether there is sufficient evidence to justify a federal criminal prosecution, then allow a federal prosecutor who exercises authority delegated by the Attorney General to make a prosecutorial decision.
Prosecutorial.
And then, if prosecution is warranted, let the judge and jury determine the facts. We sometimes release information about
Sydney
closed investigations.
Is very upset about this. I'll get it. Keep reading.
In appropriate ways. But the FBI does not do it sui sponte. Sui sponte must be Latin for on its own. Concerning his letter to the Congress on October 28, 2016, the director cast his decision as a choice between whether he would speak about the FBI's decision to investigate the newly discovered email messages or conceal it. Conceal is a loaded term that mistakes the issue. When federal agents and prosecutors quietly open a criminal investigation, we are not concealing anything. We are simply following the long-standing policy that we refrain from publicizing non-public information. In that context, silence is not concealment. My perspective on these issues is shared by former Attorney General and Deputy Attorney Generals from different eras and both political parties. He's obviously talked to a lot of people. Judge Lawrence Silberman, who served as Deputy Attorney General under President Ford, wrote that it is not the Bureau's responsibility to opine whether a matter should be prosecuted. Silberman believes that the director's performance was so inappropriate for an FBI director that he doubts the Bureau will ever completely recover. James Gordon, Deputy Attorney General under President Clinton, joined with Larry Thompson, Deputy Attorney General under President George W. Bush, to opine that the director had chosen personally to restrike the balance between transparency and fairness. Departing from the department's traditions, they concluded that director that the director violated his obligation to preserve, protect, and defend the traditions of the department and the FBI. Former Attorney General Michael Mukasey, who served under Bush, observed that the director stepped way outside his job in disclosing the recommendation in that fashion because the FBI director doesn't make that decision, and it goes on and on. He keeps giving more people, and so he says, perhaps most troubling is the precedent set by this departure from the department's widely respected nonpartisan traditions. We should reject the departure and turn to traditions. Although the president has the power to remove an FBI director, the decision should not be taken lightly. I agree with the nearly unanimous opinions of former department officials. The way the director handled the conclusion of the email investigation was wrong. As a result, the FBI is unlikely to regain public and congressional trust until it has a director who understands the gravity of the mistakes and pledges never to repeat them. Having refused to admit his errors, the director cannot be expected to implement the necessary corrective action. So basically, you can see that there's two things there, and Fox News pretty much, I felt like they focused on the latter part. Mm-hmm. The first part, he was saying the conclusion of the Clinton email investigation was wrong.
And the fact that he was unilaterally acting as judge, jury, prosecutor,
right.
I mean, the whole shebang.
Right.
He's like, I am it all in one, and this is what I have decided.
There's something in your hair.
Well, we went and got hay today.
Yeah. It's just a fuzz. Sorry.
Oh, it's not even hay. I can't even be proud of it.
I thought
It's
it was
just
a bug.
Oh.
We always have bugs in our hair. So, anyway.
We always have bugs in our hair. That sounds great.
Yeah, or hay. Somebody's got a bug in their ear, and James Coney has a problem.
Oh my God! Come on, you guys. I mean, I cannot keep the smile off my face. I am so happy. And here's the thing,
who's laughing?
Who's
now?
laughing now?
That's funny.
In the words of Nigel. But seriously, guys, there is a lot more here.
Yeah.
If this is not like your average, you know what? You have shown up to work late for the past month. We cannot have this. You're fired. That's not what this is, okay? This goes so stinking
If
deep.
you're joining us,
Just now.
Trump fired James Comey. Yep. Not joking. Not fake news.
This is not fake stinking news. I'm sorry. I'm still very excited about this. Here's the thing. Here at Resistance Chicks, and everybody should want President Trump to be doing well, to be doing the right things. And so when he does, and you can sink your teeth into it,
Here's the thing.
it feels good,
The
doesn't
swamp just went from here to here.
it? Yeah, it did, baby.
Drain
And they're
the
starting to
swamp.
squirm, and they're going
Drain
to dry
swamp.
up. That's
Drain
right.
that swamp.
They are draining the swamp. Oh my gosh.
I was cold all alone. No place for